Staffan Åkerblom. Unfortunately, he cannot join us physically. He's in Gothenburg, but he is waiting for us on Zoom. And Staffan was working with Telia and SEB as an organizational consultant, driving business culture in there. And let's see how many ficas someone has to drink to make a deal with a Swedish company. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Neda. And Labadiena, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with you. Let me just do also sound check. Can you hear me clear enough? Okay, great. And I'm going to share my screen. So very excited to be here today, sharing a bit about the culture that is, I think, a fascinating mix and blend of balance, collaboration, and as you said, Neda, a lot of coffee. And maybe just a few more words about me. So today I'm an independent organizational consultant, and I'm exposed to Lithuanian culture. I would say I have a business partner in Vilnius, and I'm running leadership development programs on their behalf for Lithuania. Are mostly due to our inability to make sense of what is visible and observable of the other culture. And here's just a brief example that I still find very funny after 20 years. And it builds on the importance of titles in Austria. So I found this business card on the floor in the printer room one day. And my Austrian research colleagues told me that the appropriate way to address this distinguished gentleman in his home country is Professor Dr. Katalinic. And can you imagine the cultural clash when he visits a potential business partner, say, in New York, and they come and greet him at the airport like, "Hi, Branko." And, you know, these are cultural clashes and it doesn't make sense. So on the surface, we can really make any good sense of any culture. So in order to be skilled, we must have the deeper understanding of the values and beliefs. And that's what I'm now going to try to do by presenting a number of themes and how they played out, but also more like what's the deeper reasons behind it. All right, so let's go. So picture this, you walk into a Swedish office and there's no way for you to tell who is the CEO because everyone is just chatting casually around over a cup of coffee. And that is Swedish egalitarianism for you. And in the GLOBE project, we found that Sweden scores remarkably low on power distance. And this means that hierarchies in Swedish organizations are about as popular as pineapple on pizza. Not very, you know, and organizational structures, they are generally so flat, so you think they were designed by IKEA. Not in the, I would say, in the older companies. There are organizations such as the bank, you know, more than 150 years old. You will see that they have more hierarchies. But the typical sort of average company is typically more flat than in what you find in other cultures. And in practice, these egalitarian values, they manifest in various ways. So, for instance, status differences are played down. The language is typically very informal. Swedes address each other by their first name, also in the office. And it's perfectly normal for a Swedish employee to casually email the big boss with ideas or to disagree with their manager in a meeting. So my advice to you, if you're new to Sweden, is to embrace this openness. So don't be afraid to share your ideas, regardless of your position. But you should be careful not to come across as boastful or superior. Swedes value humility, and collective achievement is also valued over individual glory. So this deeply rooted belief in equality and egalitarianism has big impact on communication styles and also decision making. So let's move there. So Swedes are renowned for their informal, no-nonsense communication style. They highly value honesty and transparency in business dealings. Some say that those blue eyes are not just there for decoration. Sometimes we can be honest to the degree of being naive, you know. But we're also at the same time avoiding harsh and confrontational language. And this is rooted in sort of conflict avoidance and the non-assertive values. And from my experience with Lithuanians, this direct communication has many similarities. But what you guys should be aware of this, because you speak often with passion and drive, and that might come across as a bit edgy. I mean, it sure does in our household. So round off the sharpest edges of your communication when dealing with Swedes. And then another rather typical this theme of Swedish culture is consensus-driven decision-making. Now, here's where you really need to channel your inner Zen master. Swedish decision-making is all about consensus. This approach, deeply rooted in the egalitarian culture, it ensures that everyone and everyone's voice is heard and considered. So in practice, this means that decisions, especially decisions that are very important ones, they are rarely made unilaterally. Instead, they have many meetings where everyone gets to have a say, from the newly hired assistant to the CEO. And this fosters inclusivity and often leads to well-rounded decision, but it can also make the process, of course, painstakingly slow. So my advice to you is that patience is key here. You should resist any urge to rush decisions or to push for quick answers. Involve everyone in discussions and be prepared for multiple meetings before you can get a final decision. And while this, of course, might seem time-consuming, the experience is that in the end, you have not only a very high quality and well-considered decision, but you also have buy-in already from all the stakeholders involved. So implementation of decisions usually goes very, very quickly. Okay, next theme. Work-life balance. So in Sweden, personal time is sacred. The concept of lagom, which roughly translates into just the right amount. And if you are mentally programmed in Sweden, you know what that right means. It's just simply not too much and not too little. In Sweden, we believe in working efficiently during office hours, and then we can enjoy our personal time. So don't be surprised if you send an email at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This email will go unanswered until the next office day. And you should respect this boundary. Your Swedish colleagues will appreciate it. And now let me introduce you to the magical world of fika. And it's not just a coffee break, it's a Swedish institution. And if you never heard of it, fika is a daily ritual where colleagues gather for coffee, often, but not always, with a cake, and especially with conversation. And it's more than just a break, it's a productivity tool. So these informal gatherings over coffee, they're perfect for building relationships and having relaxed business discussions. And for this reason, there's less need to have internal meetings. So many issues can be solved informally over a fika. So when a Swedish colleague invites you for a fika, say yes. That's where the real magic, and I would say also the real action, happens. All right, some business practices. Punctuality. Swedes take punctuality seriously. So being late, meaning 2 minutes after the time, is seen as disrespectful. So you should channel your inner Swiss watch and be on time, or even better, be maybe 5 minutes early. If you're running late due to some unforeseen circumstances, you call ahead to inform your Swedish counterparts. That would be very appreciated. So meetings start and end promptly. We're kind of siblings to Germany in that way. And time is used efficiently. So you should save your long-winded stories to the fika. So keep meetings focused and productive to the topic. Another trait of the Swedish culture, is the long-term orientation. So Swedes prefer to build long-term business relationships. They're not interested in quick wins, but in sustainable, mutually benefit partnerships. And this means that you might need to invest time in relationship building before sealing any deals. So Swedes want to know that they can trust you and your company for the long haul. And the advice is, of course, to be patient and focus on building trust and credibility and demonstrate that you are committed to the relationship beyond just the immediate transactions. As you could say, the value of the relationship rather than the value of the immediate deal. Highlight your company's long-term vision and how it aligns with sustainable business practices. This will resonate very well with your Swedish business partners. And then finally, some words about negotiation and deal making. So let's talk about how to sort of seal the deal Swedish style. So number one, you should forget about any aggressive sales tactics or emotional appeals. They just won't fly here. Swedes prefer a collaborative approach to negotiations and aiming for win-win outcomes. They value logical arguments and factual information over persuasive rhetoric. You know, it's usually considered as empty talk, just hot air. So decisions might take time, again, due to the consensual-driven approach. And Swedes, they want to carefully consider all aspects of the deal before they actually commit. So come prepared with well-researched factual information to any meeting. Present your case logically and be ready to answer detailed questions. And then, of course, again, be patient with the decision-making process. And you should focus on creating value for both parties rather than sort of winning the negotiation. And then finally, about environmental and ethical consideration. This is maybe a pro tip. If you want to impress your Swedish business partners, show them that you care about sustainability and ethical business practices. Sweden is at the forefront on environmental consciousness, and this expands and extends into the business practices as well. So Swedish companies often have strong CSR programs, and they play high value on sustainable business practices. And they do expect their business partners to share these values. So if you can demonstrate a genuine commitment to these areas, you will have a significant edge in building relationships with Swedish partners. All right, so here you have it, your comprehensive guide to navigating Swedish business culture. So remember, understanding these cultural nuances can be the difference between a successful partnership and a missed opportunity. So to recap, embrace the egalitarian approach and the direct communication style without being too harsh. Respect the work-life balance and don't intrude on personal time. Be patient with consensus-driven decision. Be punctual and efficient with time. Focus on building long-term relationships. Approach negotiation collaboration with collaboratively, meaning that you're just as interested to create value for your Swedish partner as you is for yourself. And then demonstrate the commitment to sustainability and ethics. And I hope that by keeping these insights in mind, you will be well equipped to navigate the Swedish business landscape. And who knows, you might even find yourself enjoying a cinnamon bun and a good cup of coffee while closing your next deal in Stockholm. So I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for listening, and achu labai. And maybe if there's time for questions, I'll be very willing to do so. But let me take away my screen so I can see you all better.
So yes, we have, yes, big applause.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
It's again, very interesting presentation. And if there are any lagom questions, means not too little and not too many, you're welcome. Yes, Mantas, please. The mic over there.
Hi, Staffan. Thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting to listen. For the last year, I'm trying to make friends with Swedish people. And sometimes, a lot of times, I hear a lot of yes, yes, Mantas, we'll do that. Yes, Mantas, we will keep in touch. But sometimes it's a lie, So my question is how to distinguish between those true yes and false yes. Thanks.
Okay, Mantas, I need to ask you one thing because this is really important. Are you doing that in a business context?
Yes, only business.
Okay, so it makes perfect sense. Swedes don't make friends at work. Here's what you need to know. This is sort of the more advanced. This is really in the Globe study. Sweden is the most extremely collectivistic society. At the same time, one of the most extreme individualistic countries, and it's just mind-boggling. The only way you can understand that is that we make a clear distinction between our private life and our public life, and work is part of the public life. So of course there are always exceptions, but so that's why people, when they go home, and if you are visiting, you might be very surprised that there are no after office sort of activities. No, people are home taking care of their children and their dogs, so you should that's just for you to not take it personally. They simply don't have the practice to make friends. Of course, sometimes you can go out and share a beer or something, but that is still considered work. Now my colleagues and my team, we're doing something. So that is the way. What should you do? You should come and get into some kind of hobby, get a dog, and meet people where they are in their private sphere. You will find plenty of friends. In fact, Sweden is also a country where you have the most single households in the world. There are so many lonely people out there looking for you, but you're simply looking in the wrong place.
Hello.
Vilnius.
Yes, Vilnius. I'm Christina. I have been living in Sweden for 10 years and real experience like B2B, conversations and meetings. And now I am working with Sweden and Swedish colleagues again. And I'm still surprised that it's northern Sweden. Maybe it's a bit different. But what I want to understand, like this business culture, that we kind of have, I'm at the management team. So we kind of have an agreement and about the tasks. And yes, we have a plan. And then when I go back to Lithuania, nothing happens in Sweden. So I don't know, is it something that I do in aggressive planning way? Is it something that I'm pushing them to? I don't understand.
I don't think I have a good answer to that. There's certainly nothing. I'm surprised about that. Because but what I can say is you should tell them. They would expect, but with rounded corners, but you should bring it up, and do it maybe in a humble say, teach me, I want to learn. How come when we agreed something and then I don't see anything happening? What might I not understand yet why it is in this way? But you are also right that further up north, it's well, they're more like the Finns, you could say, to make it easier and to maybe use the stereotypes. I spent quite some time up in the north, but they're also very pragmatic. So I think that should be some entryway.
So maybe one last question and quite short answer, then we're done, I guess.
You said that we should show commitment for sustainability. And what should we do if our business has nothing to do with sustainability? For example, a financial startup.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's in some businesses you could sort of greenwash it, but it wouldn't be taken seriously, and then don't do it. But any opportunity that you can to sort of connect to this very strong theme, you should do. So even in financial services, you can sort of depends on what, of course, the details of your business. But what if you're managing funds, for instance, now what do you have in your portfolio? That will become a very important question, But also pretending to be committed to this while in fact not being, that won't buy you anything. So strong advice against it. So just be who you are, that's my advice.
And one question from Zoom then.
Just one Swedish movie that could describe Swedish people the best.
Oh my God. Oh, I need to think about that one.
Well,
Could I
Fredrik,
ask
no.
this? Could I ask the Swedes in the room, help me out here?
I just made a joke and said Göta kanal.
Yeah, Göta kanal. Johan, what do you think? Johan is, by the way, a very old good friend. And any ideas from you?
Yes, so perhaps the Bergman classic Fanny and Alexander is to some extent showcasing different aspects of it. Änglagård is another one.
I was thinking about Colin Nutley. I think he is really good. Anything by Colin Nutley, and Änglagård is one of them. He as a Brit has, because if you're Swedes, you can't see yourself, but he has seen all those peculiarities. I think Änglagård is a very good advice, and I'm not sure if you can get it with English subtitles, but yeah, so that's a challenge.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a lot of suggestions from Vilnius, like theory of love. We know how the Swedes are described, and what was it else? Welcome to Sweden. Welcome to Sweden. We have come to some solutions.
Yes.
So
Okay, dear friends, thanks for listening. I really wish you all the best. Checking out now. Catch you my train.
Thank you so much.